In this video, I'll be going over the exact blueprint that enabled me to get my 2-mile run time down from over 16 minutes to sub 12, and these principles can be applied whether you're someone who's just starting out or you've been running for a while. And before we get started, let's make something very clear. I am not a naturally good runner. During my senior year of high school, my stepbrother Alex was actually the one that talked me into joining the Army in the first place. And since we were only 4 months apart, it was a real kind of stepbrothers situation, which meant we were highly competitive. So we went down to the recruiter's office and they had us take an initial PT test, which included the 2-mile run. And growing up competing against each other in sports, I always kind of assumed I was the faster one. You know, I was more lean, I worked out more than him, better looking. Just kidding, not really. But I did think I was faster until we ran that first 2-mile, and I came in over 16 minutes while he was down in the 13s already. Obviously, this drove me crazy, and from that point forward, I made it my personal goal to not only beat my brother, but to get that sub 13 2-mile run. The problem was I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and unfortunately for me at the time, I did zero research. I just started running daily pretty much as fast as I could. So about 6 months go by of me constantly challenging my brother and constantly getting disappointed with my progress. Without any structure, I managed to shave off about 45 seconds from my run time in 6 months, which is not nearly the results I was hoping for. Fast forward a few years and I find myself in Special Forces selection, now able to do that same 2 miles in just under 12 minutes. So what changed? Well, I realized I had been doing it all wrong by just running as hard as I could every day. The first thing I learned and started to implement was focusing on building my aerobic base, which is just a fancy word for saying the ability to move over longer distances and periods of time. I started incorporating these longer, slower runs into my routine, and instead of just trying to crush myself every day, I would go out for a 4 to 5 mile run at a pace where I could still hold a conversation. Now, knowing what I know, this type of run taught my body to use oxygen more efficiently, which is key to improving overall endurance. In addition to the long, slow days, I started including structured interval training, and this was the game changer. I started with 400-meter intervals, resting for an equal amount of time it took me to run each, and eventually progressed up to 800 meters and even 1-mile repeat. And the last piece of the puzzle is I focused on pacing and recovery. Early on, I thought I needed to give 100% on every run, but running hard all the time doesn't make you faster and actually leads to a lot of burnout and the potential for injury. So I started paying attention to my pacing. On days where I wasn't doing speed work, I ran at a steady, moderate pace, and I made sure to include full recovery days where I'd stretch, foam roll, or just rest. Now, enough about me. Let's talk about a simple plan that you can implement to start seeing that run time improve. For this, I'm going to keep it moderate. So if you're above this or below it, just modify the mileage to where you're currently at and aim to increase that weekly mileage by about 10% until you get to where you want to be. We'll start with 3 runs per week, and I'll give some options to supplement some low impact conditioning in addition to that. For the warm up, we want to include some prehab work, which is going to build up that durability and get things flowing. This can include 2 rounds of 20 meters of toe walks, heel walks, and supinated walks, then 2 rounds of TKE, which is terminal knee extension, and the Copenhagen drill to really hit that knee stability. You don't necessarily need this warm up on those long, slow days, but it can never hurt. All right, for the plan. Let's kick off Monday with a speed session when our legs are nice and fresh. For this, we can start out with 400-meter repeats and a 1-to-1 rest, meaning we're resting for an equal amount of time it takes to run each interval. Tuesday can be a strength day, but we can hit some low impact conditioning like the bike, rower, incline treadmill walk, etc. Keep it light to moderate and about 20 minutes in duration. Wednesday can be a long zone 2 run. I like to keep these primarily time-based, so if you're at an intermediate level, we can keep it around 45 minutes. And if you're newer, start with what is manageable for you. 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then add time each week. Thursday can be another strength day, and we can include some short, high-intensity work on the assault bike. Something like 6 rounds of 20 seconds max effort, 10 seconds rest would be solid here. Friday can either be a tempo run if you're more advanced or coming up to a timed event, or another zone 2 run. You can also alternate these each week, so tempo 1 week, zone 2 the next, and so on. If it's zone 2, 45 to 60 minutes will be solid, and for tempo, keep it shorter, 20-25 minutes, focusing on an RPE, so rating of perceived exertion of about 7 out of 10. Then Saturday can be another lift with some moderate conditioning like 80 to 100 floors on the stair climber. And I would progress up total weekly mileage by about 10% each week, and then every 4th week take a deload where you reduce the RPE and the overall volume for the speed sessions. If you're going to use this, just modify it to your specific needs and goals. And if you want a custom plan built to exactly where you're at and where you want to be, and the accountability to make sure you get there, the link to our coaching program is down in the description. Appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next one.